I'd like to call on Macomb City Council to order, please. If you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If the clerk would call the roll, please.
Justin Shu,
Here.
John Vajezi,
Here.
Byron Shabazz,
Here.
Dave Dorsett,
Present.
Ashley Katz, here, Don Wynn,
Here.
Dennis Moon. 6 present.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Citizens wishing to address the City Council on matters germane to the agenda of tonight's meeting will be limited to 3 minutes and are asked to be brief and concise in making their remarks. Comments submitted by mail or email will not be read aloud, but a copy will be provided to each member of the council and made a part of the minutes of this meeting. Does anyone wish to speak to the council under the public comment section of our agenda tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Council, motion is in order.
Motion to adopt consent agenda is presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Shu,
Aye.
Vajezi,
Aye.
Shabazz,
Aye.
Dorset,
Aye.
Katz, Wynn,
Aye.
all ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Under unfinished business, item number 1, consideration of an ordinance authorizing a loan agreement for a water pollution control program. This will be second reading.
Thank you. The City of Macomb operates a sewer system within the city in accordance with the provisions of the Illinois Municipal Code. It is advisable, necessary, and in the best interest to improve that system. The proposed project has a useful life of 20 years. The estimated cost of construction and installation for the project is $3.5 million, and there are presently insufficient funds on hand to pay those costs. It is being proposed to obtain a loan through the Water Pollution Control Loan Program through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency with a maturity of 20 years in the amount of $3.5 million to complete the construction of that project. The ordinance with the statutory notice would be published in the community news brief within 10 days after passage. The mayor would be authorized to make the application to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for the loan and would be authorized and directed to execute the loan agreement with the Illinois EPA.
Thank you. That'll stand as second reading. This did have first reading on the 18th of November. There's a memorandum in your packet from the Public Works Director where she outlines that the debt service for this loan would be repaid with a debt service fee, and that the project includes the reconstruction of the primary and secondary clarifiers, installation of an ultraviolet disinfection system, and installation of a new plant water system, and a reconstruction of the roadways on the plant property. We'd entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Make a motion authorizing loan agreement for a water pollution control program.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt the ordinance. Any discussion? Any questions for Ms. Ortman at all? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Vajezi,
Aye.
Shabazz,
Aye.
Dorset,
Aye.
Katz, Wynn,
Aye.
Shu,
Aye.
all ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. There is no other unfinished business this evening. Under new business, item number 1, consideration of an ordinance to provide for the levy and collection of taxes for the year 2024, payable in 2025 for the City of Macomb, McDonough County, Illinois. A copy of the ordinance is in your packet. This will be first reading.
Thank you. The city has adopted the municipal budgeting process as set forth in the Illinois Municipal Code. The city administrator is the appointed qualified enacting budget officer for the city. Previously, the city budgeted for the current fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2024 and ending April 30th, 2025, the estimated expenses and revenues. The city will require to be levied and collected for the fiscal year the sum of $3,081,800. That levy is apportioned as set forth in Section 2 of the ordinance between a general corporate fund, firefighter pension fund, both excluded from PTEL and included with PTEL, Police Officer Pension Fund, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, FICA and Medicare Fund, Fire Protection Tax Fund, Police Protection Tax Fund, and an Insurance and Tort Judgments Fund. The levied amount would be levied and assessed upon all property subject to taxation within the city, and the city clerk would be authorized and directed to certify a copy of the ordinance to the county clerk on or before the last Tuesday in December 2024.
Thank you. That'll stand as first reading. We'll place that on for discussion at next week's Committee of the Whole. Item number 2, consideration of an ordinance to abate the direct annual tax levied for 2024 to pay the annual debt service fee on $2,275,500 in general obligation refunding bonds, also known as Waterworks Alternate Revenue Series 2016, and $4,010,000 in general obligation refunding bonds, also known as the Infrastructure Projects Alternate Revenue Source Series 2020. This will be first reading.
Thank you. The Series 2016 bond ordinance was adopted August 1st, 2016. The 2020 Series bond ordinance was adopted January 21st, 2020. The city did issue bonds in the principal amount of $2,275,000 of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2016, and $4,010,000 general obligation refunding bonds, the Series 2020. The pledged revenues collected in 2024 and deposited into the alternate bond and interest accounts for both series are sufficient to pay the debt service for each of those. The pledged taxes are not required to pay the 2024 debt service on either of those bonds or to provide coverage as provided by the bond ordinances, and therefore may be abated. Council would find and determine that the pledged taxes are not required for payment of the 2024 debt service for either the 2016 or 2020 series and are not required to be levied and collected, and determine that abatement is appropriate for both of those bond series. Based on those findings, the entire direct annual tax provided for and previously levied pursuant to both bond ordinances would hereby be abated for the year of 2024. The clerk would file a certified copy of the ordinance with the county clerk, and then it would be the duty of the county clerk to abate those taxes.
Thank you. That'll stand as first reading, and we'll have that on for any additional consideration, questions, or discussion at next week's Committee of the Whole meeting. Item number 3, consideration to authorize the renewal of Tokyo Marine HCC health insurance for the City of Macomb employees and Consociate and Danzig as the third-party administrator. This was discussed at the General Government Committee meeting and at the Committee of the Whole, the last meeting we had. And the city administrator is here to give us a brief overview, and then we'll have and entertain a motion and some questions. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So nothing has changed since last week, but I'll summarize a little bit. So this is for our medical and health insurance for our employees. Once again, we're recommending to go with Tokyo Marine renewal for the reinsurance for coverage over claims over $50,000 and third-party administrators, Consociate and Danzig for administration. Expected plan cost is $3,053,580, which is actually down a little bit from $3,086,244 of the current year. We're recommending that the premiums stay the same for the city employees and their families. Entertain any questions?
Any questions at all? Alrighty, we'd entertain a motion to authorize that renewal as stated in Mr. Coker's information.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to authorize the renewal. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Shabazz.
Aye.
Dorset.
Aye.
Katz.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Moon.
Aye.
Shu. Vajezi.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 4, consideration to authorize the renewal of the property and casualty insurance from Illinois County's Risk Management, ICRMT, for the City of Macomb, and Pumo Insurance Agency as the administrator. This, too, was discussed at the General Government Committee meeting last month and last week's Committee of the Whole meeting. Scott, do you want to add anything here? I know that we have Mr. Pumo here from the agency, if we have any questions as well.
Nothing has changed from our discussion last week, if there are any questions.
Anything at all from the council? Mr. Pumo, any additional information from you? Okay. All righty.
Move to authorize.
Second.
Moved and seconded to authorize the renewal. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Dorset,
Aye.
Katz. Aye. Wynn,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Shu,
Aye.
Vajezi,
Aye.
Shabazz.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 5, consideration to authorize the approval and award of bids for concrete replacement at Fire Station Number 1 to the low bidder of Hood Construction in the amount of $34,500. There's a memorandum in your packet from the fire chief. There were 3 bids received, and you can go over that bid total for us, chief, please.
Yep. So we advertised for bids the week of November 5th, and we did bid opening on November 22nd with BT Wetzel LLC submitting at $41,250, Lavadier Construction at $35,317, and Hood Construction at $34,500. And we'd like to ask for approval to approve the low bid of $34,500 for that.
Any questions for the chief? We'd entertain a motion to award that bid to Hood for $34,500.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Katz. Aye. Wynn,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Shu,
Aye.
Vajezi,
Aye.
Shabazz.
Aye.
Dorset.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, chief. Item number 6, consideration to authorize a purchase of Quicket software system. This item was discussed at the Public Safety Committee a week or so ago. Lisa or chief or both, can you give us an overview of what we're proposing here, please?
Sure. Quicket is a software interface system that would allow the police department to transmit electronically all of its citations. The circuit clerk, Ian Fisher, has committed to setting us up, along with the other departments in our county, with that system, excuse me, with providing the basic software as well as all of the required equipment for all of our vehicles at the police department. What we are requesting is to take that a step further and add on the modules that would allow us to use the same process for our administrative adjudication system, so that those tickets could also be submitted electronically directly to my office. This would also work for parking tickets, our code enforcement citations. We'd be able to use a regular printer. We wouldn't have to use the vehicle printers. The cost for that is about $1,000 a month. However, through some very good negotiation, I will say, we got that reduced to $900 a month. 10%, that's a good reduction. They are proposing a 6-year term. However, we are able to terminate that with 90 days notice with no cause required. So I'm comfortable with that term. In all honesty, I think we would keep at a minimum the amount that would interface with the circuit clerk. If at some point through our evaluation we decide that the add-ons are not kind of covering their own costs, then we could certainly discuss terminating that agreement. Jeff and I both have money in our budgets this year to cover the cost. Also requested that they give us sort of a prorated first year so that we can line that renewal up with our fiscal year. And then we will work with Finance Director Worley to decide and determine the most appropriate way to allocate those costs between our 2 departments. And maybe 3 if we can get community development involved.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Scalf? Alderman Vajezi.
Will this also take care of the back office aspects of this? I know when an officer writes a ticket now, everything has to be transposed into a computer. Will this automatically download everything in?
So they will actually enter everything on their in-car computers, and it'll transmit directly to the courthouse and to me, depending on which court they elect. If it's a warning, it'll spit out a warning as well and document all of that. So that will eliminate the need for any data entry on the side of the administrative assistant and the records clerk, and will 100% eliminate data entry in my office, which will save a ton of time.
Very good. Any other questions? Chief, do you have anything to add? All righty, sir. Thank you. Always best. Let the attorney handle it. We'd entertain a motion to authorize the purchase of Quicket software system for the city.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to authorize. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
I think Dave had a
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say I'm not sure exactly who the lead negotiator was on that. Just guessing. but congratulations on doing a good job with that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Dorset. Anyone else? Alrighty, hearing no further discussion, roll call, please.
Wynn,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Shu. Aye. Vajezi.
Aye.
Shabazz.
Aye.
Dorset.
Aye.
Katz. Aye. All ayes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item number 7, consideration of an ordinance to create a Class E special event, Class SE special event liquor license for St. Paul's Annual Trivia Night event. Copy of the ordinance is in your packet. We have a representative from St. Paul's School here, Miss Abby O'Hearn. Miss O'Hearn, do you wish to share any information with us about the event, what you have planned, when it's going to be? A little free advertising if you want. Well, if that's okay, there's no obligation.
I'm good. I really don't like speaking.
Okay? We'll just
I'm
know.
on like the cleanup crew. Do whatever you need. But it's February 2nd. I think they've been having it for, my kids have been going there for 5 years, but I think 15, 20 years.
been a
I
while.
don't know. You probably know, been going there way longer than I have. Now I'm just on the crew, get everybody lined up because I really don't know anything about music trivia. So they just put me in charge of signing people up, and that's my duty. So, yes, it's one of our biggest fundraisers, and we would really like your approval. And everybody has a good time. Last year, we raised a little over $7,000, one of the highest amounts. They said everything went great. Dan Shipman was the music person, and they said everything went good.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Miss O'Hearn. Any questions for Miss O'Hearn? All right, we appreciate you being here, and we'll have the first reading of the ordinance.
And this is actually the 25th annual event, so 25 years. Yep. Will be if approved, right?
Yeah. I need to be from Macomb.
There you go.
Okay, St. Paul School has filed an application requesting a special event liquor license for their trivia night event to be held at 322 West Washington Street here in Macomb. The event is scheduled to be held February 1st, 2025, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 11 p.m., and the license would be for the same hours. Sorry, missed a zero there. Information was provided at tonight's meeting. They are a special event retailer, as that term is defined in our code. It is an annual community event. If adopted, the ordinance does indicate that a special event Class SE liquor license would be created for St. Paul's School Trivia Night at 322 West Washington on February 1st, 2025, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 11 p.m.
Thank you. That'll stand as first reading. We'll have that on for further discussion, if any, at next week's community hall. And thank you, Ms. O'Hearn, for being here. There is no other new business before you this evening. Any committee reports? Hearing none. Aldermanic reports. Alderman Moon, sir.
No report.
Thank you. Alderman Nguyen.
No report.
Thank you. Alderman Katz.
No report.
Thank you, ma'am. Alderman Dorset.
No report.
Thank you. Alderman Shabazz.
No report.
Thank you. Alderman Vajezi.
No report, Your Honor.
All righty. Alderman Shu.
No report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Anything?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Scalf.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Coker.
No report, Your Honor.
All righty. Thank you. Council, I would like your consideration to accept with regret 2 long-standing members of our Planning Commission, one being Gary Ziegler and the other being Fred Caspel.
Motion to accept with regret.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept with regret the resignation of Gary Ziegler and Fred Caspel from the Macomb Planning Commission. Any discussion? We would note that Fred is the retiring chair of that commission, and Gary brought a wealth of information to the position, given his years of service here in the community. It is truly with regret that we'll be saying goodbye to them. All righty. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. There is no reason for an executive session this evening. We can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.